Okay, sorry about that, everybody. Just want to make sure I actually had stuff going on music-wise, just to make sure I could hear. And then we're kind of waiting for people to kick in. Got quite a few in here already, which is awesome. Wanted to start off with a couple stupid jokes, just to kill some time for those of you that are actually here. And by the way, good morning for those of you that are in the morning, and some of you, I think, are out across the pond. Nighttime over there. Awesome. Always nice to see you. Yeah, a couple jokes. Some stupid ones, too. Just to set the bar really low, folks, but... and you should, a lot of you guys probably know these answers. So, I don't know, we'll see, give you guys a second to kind of get in, like I said. Good morning. But first off, what do you call cheese that doesn't belong to you? Nacho cheese. How about that? What do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back? A stick. How about, how do you catch a unique rabbit? Unique up on it. How do you catch a tame rabbit? Tame way. Unique up on it. Anyway, all right, bad jokes. Horribly bad jokes. All right, this annoying ad is playing. Yeah, it started off with an ad. Sorry, you guys. It is what it is. But anyway, welcome to a fun little show that we're doing. This really has to do with manifesting, of course, but a lot of people wonder about how thought transmissions work, what Goddard says about that, and he talks about thought transmissions all over the place. It's just a very cool topic. There's a lot of depth to it, a lot of crazy that goes along with it. And so a lot of us really kind of have, questions like, well, does the other person hear us? Does the other person feel us? What do they experience? What do they say? How does it happen? All those kinds of things. Well, literally in like 3 paragraphs, Goddard gets into the whole concept. This is out of the Art of Prayer, the Art of Believing. And he gets into the whole concept of it really in a nutshell. And I think he expands on it in other chapters, and we'll certainly cover it. And I think I recently did something even similar on it. But he really gets into not just what's happening when I'm thinking of these people, but also how we influence them. Also talks about what happens if we try to get people to do something that maybe they don't want to do, right? Like that's outside of their ability. It's outside of what they're capable of. It's outside of their consciousness. Like maybe they don't understand what it's like to be a kind person when they're a narcissist, right? Like sometimes it's just things that are outside of their understanding, and it makes it hard to become that, right? So those things, he even talks about how that's interacted with, or how that kind of comes back to us, hence the boomerang joke. But if you do it right, it's more of a stick. You just throw it out there and it just keeps going straight. It doesn't ever come back around, which is kind of what you want when it comes to thought transmissions. So anyway, let's get into it. We'll cover it, and then we'll get into some Q&A, guys. If you got some questions and stuff, we will definitely, cover those as well. And just a real quick call out. So we got hi to Amsterdam, Jasmine, hi, Nicole, nice to see you, Yami. Please make short videos. Your videos are so long. That's awesome. All right. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing, but thank you, Yami. This one's going to be really long, so, feel free to leave. Hey, Waleed, how you doing? Giovanni, nice to see you. Autumn Beauty, cool, nice to see you. Your name pops up frequently. Christina, good to see everybody out there. Rich, Money River, how you doing, buddy? All right, and, Captain Har. That Pirate Day wasn't long ago. That would have been fun. I'm happy. Can you do live... Sure. I'll do it right now. How about that? We'll do a live right now, just because you said. All right. A friend. So we're gonna get into the Goddard part now, and then you guys can Q&A it up, and we'll see how long that takes us out. A friend 1,000 miles away is rooted in your consciousness through your fixed ideas of him. To think of him and represent him to yourself inwardly in a state that you desire him to be. Confident that this subjective image is as true as it were already objectified, awakens in him a corresponding state, which he must objectify. What this means is, right off the bat, is if you're thinking of a friend 1,000 miles away, you're representing him inwardly inside your mind. And while you have him inside your mind, what you're thinking of him doing or being or whatever is it's pushed towards him. That's awesome. It's pushed towards him. And so it actually starts to create this corresponding state that he will just start to act out without any real thought or anything about it, right? Like just some idea pops up into his head, and now all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'm going to go to the store, because just a minute ago, that's what you were imagining, right? Him going to the store, right? And now all of a sudden he's got an image or a desire to do that. Again, stupid example, but not necessarily. It kind of really brings home the point of, if you're just thinking of something like that, that's kind of how it can pop up in them. They will just start to objectively live out that scenario. And this gets into the us pushed out, which I think is a really large topic and certainly esoteric to a degree. So anyway, let's kind of, let you just go, oh, okay, that's us pushed out. But we'll get into it further here. The results are going to be obvious as the cause was hidden. So the guy's going to start doing stuff he's not going to notice because he doesn't realize what caused this. He's just suddenly had a great idea, and now he's following through with it. The subject will express the awakened state within him and remain unaware of the true cause of his action. Your illusion of free will is but ignorance of the causes which make you act. That's a really key thing kind of with the free will. Just not necessarily understanding that there are influences that act on us on a regular basis. And so a lot of times we make choices based off those. Those same influences can come from us to another. They can also come from other places, friends, family, whatever, right? A lot of us have those kinds of influences running around us. So for us to think that our free will is completely free, I mean, it is. You get to choose what influence you act upon. That's our free will. But we, a lot of times, will be like, hey, I had an idea. Let's do that. That idea was sort of inspired upon you, right? So it kind of helps. The subject has no power to resist your controlled subjective ideas of him unless the state, unless the state affirmed by you to be true of him is a state he is incapable of wishing as true of another. Meaning, if I ask something of him that he's not capable of, he's not able to do, that's the only time. It's like if I'm asking him to do something he can do and that he is capable of, right? Then it's going to happen. It's going to be objectified. You're going to start to notice things are changing within them. If I ask something that's not, that's kind of what he's saying. That's the only way it doesn't work is unless you ask something of them that they are not able to do. So unless the state affirmed by you to be true of him is a state he is incapable of wishing as true of another. In that case, it returns to you, the sender, and will realize itself in you. Now, this is a really important concept with the thought transmission and with manifesting and trying to influence other people. Influencing other people, really, and I'm not going to get too heavily into this. We're not going to get into it at all, frankly, but it kind of starts getting into sort of the witchcraft, magic-y type stuff, and I don't want to get off on a crazy tangent, but influencing other people starts to get in that direction. You've got to understand that what you're asking of another has to be something that's within their makeup. Otherwise, you're trying to influence them in a way that's contrary to what they want. That's where the differences start to happen, by the way. So influencing others, wanting what's best for them, the golden rule, right? Treat others as you'd like to be treated yourself, right? That whole concept is really kind of something to keep in mind when we're doing this. I've heard people say, like, I want my SP to be hurt like they hurt me. Like, that's not something that is necessarily going to come. And in fact, a lot of the times, and this is why sometimes we get stuck in these little cycles where we're always bummed and we want others to feel the pain we feel by wishing that upon them and them saying, I don't want to feel pain. Like, so they don't want to. That gets reflected back on you. So you continue to create more pain in yourself. So it's those kinds of things. When we realize, forgiveness is better than wishing someone to feel pain, I'll just forgive them, forgive myself for allowing it to happen or whatever, and then continue to wish good things for that person because that is what love would do. Then you start to get a different response from them. That's just an example. So anyway, it kind of bounces back on you if you don't do it quite right. So provided the idea is acceptable, success depends entirely on the operator, not upon the subject, who, like a compass needle on their pivots, are quite indifferent as to what direction you choose to give them. If your fixed idea is not subjectively accepted by the one towards whom it is directed, it rebounds to you from who it came. It says, who is he that will harm you if ye be followers? Followers of that which is good. Good Lord. He writes crazy. He might as well just be writing the Bible because he writes such crazy stuff. But right off the bat, he's really talking about how the concept works. These people that we're objectively thinking about and trying to influence and trying to get them to do something beneficial, hopefully to us, but beneficial to them. Again, I've talked about this before. It's got to be balanced. It's got to be good for everybody. Otherwise, what's going on? What's the purpose? What's the point? right? If you really are trying to influence others, maybe to get more money in your life, maybe try to get a better job, maybe trying to get a specific person or someone to love you, or even a famous person. I've had a few people anyway, ask me about manifesting famous people. It's all the same, right? And trying to manifest an orange or trying to manifest a famous person, same basic stuff as at work, except oranges I wouldn't try to thought transmit to. That'd probably be the difference. Most oranges I don't have communications with. I've talked to them. They don't say much. They're just, kind of juicy. They're very sweet, though. Anyways, one of the things that's cool, like I said, is it sort of gives us an understanding of how the energy works. Neville's very clear about how this happens, right? They are going to follow what we say. Us pushed out, again, I don't want to get too crazy off into that direction. That's a story, and that's a show unto itself. I could do an hour on that probably, and a lot of you guys might hate me for it. This is getting into the mechanics and shows us what happens if we send stuff out that's good, and what happens if we send stuff out that's bad, when we're thought transmitting, when we're thinking of others. And one of the things that I've talked about frequently is when you think of someone else, the second you do that, you create a thought transmission to them. You create a bridge. And really kind of how it feels to them, because some people are more sensitive than others. So a very sensitive person, let's just be really crazy about a very sensitive person. If we think of them, you're going to pop into their head, like your face or your name or whatever, however it works for them, right? You'll pop it, like you, the realization of you, like you as a person will pop into their heads, and then they will feel what you are feeling. Again, remember, feelings are everything when it comes to manifestations. Feelings are the language of the soul. Feelings are what really matter in the world. As crazy as that sounds, as much as we're taught the opposite, ignore your feelings, bury them, especially if you're a dude, right? Stuff your feelings down, can't feel anything, must be a robot. Feelings are everything. That's what really makes things happen in the world. So when we think of others, the feeling comes into play, and how you're feeling is what they'll pick up on. If you're feeling anger towards them, you're gonna pop into them, and it's gonna be kind of like a ooh, or a why are they mad at me, or negative things, or some sort of negative thing, or some anger argument might pop into their head. Maybe it's what you're thinking of, and that's why you're angry. And they'll remember that argument and be like, yeah, you were horrible to me. Like you create a bad feeling in them. Or you could be thinking of them in a loving way, in a living in the end way, right? In the as if it's already happened kind of way, right? The feeling, the wish fulfilled. If you're feeling that way when you're thinking of them, then they kind of pick up more of a groovy, lovey kind of feeling. And I don't know about you, but I've had people where I really thought they were angry with me. Maybe I said something, maybe I worked with them, they were just being weird to me. But I got that vibe, right? You get that vibe from people where they're, things aren't going well. And so sometimes that's usually a good time to be like, hey, are you angry with me? And sometimes you're wrong, but for a lot of times you will be right on the money. So you can feel that. And conversely, if someone's really likes you, really into you, just glows every time you walk into the room, you get a different feeling from them. They're people that you want to talk to. They're people you enjoy being around. It's a good energy, right? So that stuff comes into play in a big way when it comes to trying to influence other people. Understanding that what you're sending to them is key. Understanding that what you're feeling is what they're going to pick up on. There's no secrets in the universe. There's no veils. There's no I can feel and think about them and they can never know. And it's like, no, your feelings and thoughts are broadcast. Anyone that's super sensitive is picking up on it. Very few people are that sensitive, mind you, so don't worry about it. And most people that are reasonably sensitive pick up a lot of stuff and don't necessarily know that you're blasting at them, some crazy thoughts. So don't sweat it too much. Anyway, let's get back to Goddard. A person who directs a malicious thought to another will be injured by its rebound if he fails to get subconscious acceptance of the other. This is truly, and this is the last little indication, this is kind of where the path switches to the dark side if you're trying to do this kind of stuff. Affecting someone's subconscious, trying to manipulate that, is where a lot of evil type things happen. I've said it before, there's service to self, service to others. Service to others is sort of, I'm calling more of the positive light path, even though that's kind of an unfair way to look at it. I see service to self as kind of more of a darker path. Both are paths that happen in this universe, so they are a part of reality. There's the plus and the minus, the good and the bad, the up and the down, the left and the right, right? Everything's got a balance. That's just kind of how this third dimensional earth living world works. Don't want to get too crazy again. But if you start sending malicious stuff off to people, and they don't accept it. Like you haven't, they just like don't want to do this. They don't want to feel pain or suffering. Like I said earlier, I don't want to feel like how you feel. So I subconsciously reject it. When that happens, it gets pushed back on you. And as he says here, it will injure you. Like it will bear into you in a bad way. It will reflect back onto you in a way that generally will cause what you were trying to cause to another. And that's where it starts to get very dangerous. When you start trying to mess around with people's minds and subconscious and trying to get them to behave a certain way when that's not really how they want to behave, you start to create a lot of drama in your own life. And a lot of times we don't understand how or why, because we're like, well, I wasn't thinking that about me. I was thinking that about them, but for some reason it's happening to me. Yes, because they keep reflecting back and they're subconsciously saying, no, I don't want to feel pain. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to, no, I'm done. Not doing that. So it reflects back and it causes damage to us. Furthermore, what you can wish and believe of another can be wished and believed of you, and you have no power to reject it if the one who desires it for you accepts it as true of you. Meaning the same is opposite, right? Someone's trying to influence you, and it's within your, wheelhouse, like it's within your realm of believability, and it's cool, and you're happy with it, and you subconsciously accept it, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I do want to go to the grocery store, or yeah, I should text so-and-so, or yeah, right? We can influence people, and they can influence us. It kind of is a two-sided street, which is interesting, right? When you think about that, not only are they us pushed out, or you pushed out, as everyone is you pushed out, right? But then that also means you're pushed out for them. Oh. Wait a minute. That breaks every weird thought I had about us pushed out. It's a lot more complex than I think a lot of us care to admit. And Goddard gets into it a lot, but it really is vastly complex. And generally speaking, Goddard's trying to get people to sort of use it more from their standpoint rather than fully, embracing the largeness of really what that concept's huge, I think. And anyway, it's that whole we all are one thing. Anyway, let's not get off. Dan, come on. The only power to reject a subjective word is to be incapable of wishing a similar state of another. To give presupposes the ability to receive. The possibility to impress an idea upon another mind presupposes the ability of that mind to receive that impression. Say that again. The possibility to impress an idea upon another mind presupposes or preassumes, or you have to assume that the mind that you're trying to do this to is capable of receiving this impression. Meaning, if I'm trying to get somebody to do something that's completely outside of their character, maybe they're a saint, maybe they never have any sort of dirty thoughts, if you know what I mean, right? Never, right? There's certain people that are just very, very not thinking that way, right? And you're a crazy, dirty-minded fool like myself, right? And you think all sorts of fun stuff, okay? And I try to get Saint to do crazy stuff, like strip, just to throw a crazy idea out there, then all of a sudden, that's not going to happen. And here I am, I'm going to suddenly be feeling like I need to take my clothes off, right? Like it gets reflected back on me because I'm asking someone to do something they can't possibly understand. Whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever are good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. Never accept as true of others what you would not want to be true of you. To awaken a state within another, it must first be awoke in you. You must first be aware of this for you to awake it in another. The state you would transmit to another can only be transmitted if it is believed by you. Therefore, to accept is to receive. You cannot give what you do not have, and you have only what you believe. Us pushed out, I've talked about it frequently. We've talked about projection. This is also what he's talking about with us pushed out. You can only influence someone by something you understand. You cannot ask somebody to be something that you aren't being. If you want somebody to do something, like experience pain, for a negative example, then you yourself must also be willing to experience pain as you are asking that of another. If you want somebody to experience joy and love and passion, then you too also must understand the concepts of joy, love, and passion. It must be active in you for you to ever try to activate it within another. That is why expanding ourselves, changing ourselves internally is how we affect the outer world. By changing that internal world, by expanding it, making something real in us, something we now understand better, larger wisdom, maybe for an example, now we can ask even more of others because we understand more, because we have become more. By reaching those different levels, by understanding higher income, by being in love to a deeper degree to where you would forgive somebody for anything, by being willing, if someone smacks you on one cheek and you turn the other, you're like, hey, if you feel like hitting me right now, like I don't know what I did, but go ahead and smack me on the other side. Like, if we can get ourselves to the place where we have evolved ourselves to a higher level, imagine what those around us become capable of. This is something no one thinks about. By influencing ourselves, we affect others around us. By forgiving within ourselves, we allow them to forgive us. That's why forgiveness of ourselves is so important. You can't hold some sort of hatred inside yourself and expect someone else to behave differently. Us pushed out. This is who I'm being right now. This is who they're going to be back. You want to change that. You change what's going on inside. If you want to evolve that, you evolve inside. And by doing that, you've now activated things in you that allow you to activate those things in others. It's extremely, extremely powerful. Therefore, to give is to receive. You cannot give what you do not have, and you have only what you believe. So to believe a state as true of another not only awakens that state within you, but it also awakes that state within the other. You are what you believe. That's kind of the part of this that we're gonna cover from the Goddard side. Again, I think there's so much to this discussion. There's so much to the concept of us pushed out. There's so much to how we interact with the world, to how we affect others. But the thing that a lot of us don't like to look at, it seems, maybe I'm wrong, but there's a lot of us that seem like we have a hard time with the fact that I need to change myself if I want to change another. If I want to influence my boss who's been horrible to me, and I'm trying to figure out ways to get him fired or ways to get him in trouble or ways to get him to leave. When the reality is that, one, I could probably change things within myself to view him differently, to forgive him for whatever it is that I don't like. And by the nature of doing that, you'll probably the very next day notice he's behaving differently. Or you can manifest a new job for yourself and get away from that boss. Or manifest onto another team. See, a lot of people try to influence something in a way that's sort of selfish-oriented. For the example I was just doing, that boss that I don't like probably is feeding a family, is probably in a job he likes, is probably, in a good position for him. So for me to try to influence that in a negative way, he doesn't want that to happen, right? He doesn't want to get in trouble with HR. He doesn't want to have to leave. He doesn't want to have to try to find a new job. So he rejects all that, and it bounces back to you. And then you sit there and you continue to experience how your boss is so horrible and how you want to leave, how you're not happy, how you want HR involved. And heck, maybe even HR ends up talking to you for stirring the pot. HR is pulling you aside and saying, well, we've noticed you've been sending emails to people and talking poorly about your boss. That's not okay. Again, it's one of those things that if we push something out to other people and we don't want it ourselves, you start to create things in your life that suck. So that's really a huge part of what Goddard's talking about. Yes, we can definitely influence other people. And if it's groovy what we're asking them to be and say and do, awesomeness. Awesomeness. Because they'll do it. No questions asked. They'll do it. But if we're asking them to do something that breaks any sort of place that they're at, maybe there's forgiveness that needs to happen, and we need to do it first on our side. Remember, us first. Then they'll suddenly be like, no, it's cool. I forgive you. I get you didn't really mean what you said. I get it was kind of in the moment, sort of anger, right? All of a sudden they can start to appreciate what's going on. So it's the power of changing is the power within us. And then transmitting that out to other people can make an enormous difference in our lives for sure, but then also in the lives of others. And then again, I don't want to beat the dead horse, but just to kind of reiterate the ability for us to change the world too, which is something so important to me. But by raising our level of awareness, by raising our understanding of things, by raising our forgiveness of others, we make others around us better. Why? Because we're better now. Now we can ask of others better than we could before because now we are better. We have stepped up to the plate. It is just something that's very hard, and it's like, wow, no, that makes sense. And it does. You want to change the world. Like Michael Jackson said, someone recently pointed this out in a comment, and it's so true. But the song "Man in the Mirror," right? I can't remember the lyrics right now. I'm asking the man in the mirror to change his ways, right? No stats can defend any criminal. Want to be that place? Take a look at yourself and make the change, right? So Michael Jackson's got something going for him, even though he's passed away. Adios, my friend. But exactly, that's kind of how that plays out. All right, so let's start checking out questions. We'll see what all sorts of wonderful stuff we've got going on here in the comments. Let's see here. Let's start with Christina. Yes, forgiveness instead of being angry. Watch moods. Oh, he's just talking to people. Thank you, too. I'm feeling let down, abandoned. Stop if I'm feeling anger. Put out that flame ASAP. So, again, one of the things, too, a lot of us get bummed out. I think this is just probably worth bringing up real quick. A lot of us get bummed out sometimes, right? And I think the way it plays out, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's different with others. I mean, I think it's similar probably. But, and I've done this, you start to entertain the thing that's not going right. I've noticed, in me anyway, it's usually noticing that something that I want is not currently in my possession. Maybe I feel like I've done a lot to try to get it. Maybe I just feel like I really need it. Maybe I'm super frustrated because I don't have it. But whatever the case is, I notice that I don't have it. And then that starts to spin me down this path of, well, because I don't have this, I can't do this. And since I can't do this, and I'm not going to be happy over here, and now I got this problem over, right? And you start to spin in directions that are just lack thoughts of lack. I'm missing stuff in my life, and it just starts to spiral down this other path. When in reality, we're creating this new world. And when I start to look at all the things that are going right in my life, that I have manifested in my life, that I am creating in my life, when I start to look at it from that vantage point, I tend to pull myself out of the funk. And once I'm doing that, it's because I'm looking on the bright side of life, not to borrow Monty Python's Life of Brian, but I'm looking on the bright side of life. I'm seeing better things because I'm looking at what I have. I'm looking at what is going right. I'm looking at all the things that I am doing properly. And I notice that everything starts to feel better. And then from that point, I'm able to ask more of people. Again, it goes back to that whole thing. So trying to get ourselves to a place where we can focus on what is going right. And again, I've been bummed and been full well knowing what I need to do to get out of it. And there are times where I'm like, no, I just want to chill in this sort of feeling for a while. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's good to get a good cry out, especially if you're a dude, right? Like, it's kind of weird for us. We don't cry a lot. It's kind of uncommon, right? But every once in a while, it does feel good to just sob. Like, I don't know, I lost my mom at the beginning of the year. I'd say probably 3 months later, I finally had a moment where I could be alone. I could be vulnerable to myself. And I just friggin' cried because my mom was dead. Like, I finally was able to feel it and let it go and pass. And it was good. And it was powerful. And again, it's just one of those things where sometimes you gotta choose when you want to let something go. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's see if anyone's got any questions yet, because I've been wasting all sorts of time. You're the boss. That's awesome. You are the boss, Bastian Rartis. All right, Stoic Soul. First off, I love the word stoic. It just goes way back to when I lived in Tennessee. Wonderful little person involved in my life. Man, I learned some stuff from that individual. Anyway, what do Neville's teachings say about the physical bodily healing? I've read some stuff off the top of my head. I'm just even recently I talked about something, but he talks about the focusing on health. He talks about the focusing on healthy living, healthy lifestyle, just being in a healthy body and what that means. A lot of people, I think, make the mistake in healing, and Goddard would agree with this for sure. But when it comes to healing, a lot of people make the mistake, they come at it from the angle of, how can I heal myself? Now, just to be real quick, just to give me a second on this, how can I heal myself implies right? In order to heal yourself, you must be unwell. So how can I heal myself already has the focus on unwellness. And I'm trying to change that I'm unwell. But by focusing on unwell, we create more unwell. So what you do is you focus on what it is when you're healthy. What do healthy people do? Healthy people are usually taking care of their bodies, taking care of what they eat, right? Maybe going to the gym, maybe walking, whatever. Maybe meditating. Like there's a lot of habits that healthy people do. Maybe taking vitamins, right? All these healthy habits that we do. Why do we do healthy habits? We do them because we want to be healthy. Not because we're trying not to be sick, because we enjoy being healthy. So if I've got some sort of ailment that needs to be healed, I focus on healthy living, healthy thoughts, healthy lifestyle choices. Healthy. That's the difference. That's what a lot of people kind of fail. They go, how do I heal this? No, you can't. You can't heal. You can't resist something. Whatever you resist persists by the very nature of the fact that you continue to give it points. I think the video I did recently is the difference between renouncing and denying, I think. Anyway, there's a difference between those, resisting and denouncing. And resisting something causes it to continue. Denouncing it is actually focusing on the other thing. And by focusing on the other thing, you're ignoring the thing you're changing. And by ignoring it, it goes away just by itself. It's interesting how it plays out. It's fun times. All right, let's see what else we got. Wild Ramble. You happen to have a comment here right in front of me. Lately, I can feel it when someone is thinking about me, but I don't know who it is. Huh. I would be curious how you know someone's thinking about you, but how does it pop up in your world? Let's look at it from that standpoint. One, because typically if something's popping into your head and you're going, someone's thinking about me, well, that can very much, hang on a sec. Goodness gracious. That can very much affect how all that kind of shows in our life, right? So I don't know. I would have more questions for you. Because typically if someone's thinking about you, you're going to see them. But if you don't know them yet, and that's one of the fun parts about this, and that's why it's weird if you're thought transmitting to someone that's never met you. Like, it works, but one of the problems you'll have is they won't know who you are. So it could very well be someone that hasn't met you. So if you're looking for love, hopefully in all the right places, Mr. Ramble, hey now. If you're kind of open to this idea, and hopefully tomorrow or today, you go, all right, is there someone out there, universe, that's looking for me? And see where you end up. Open yourself up to that reality, that possibility. Open yourself up to that and be amazed at what starts to happen. That's the key. Is like a lot of the times it's just realizing that I am in this situation for a reason. If you walk through life and most of the time are conscious of the fact that wherever you are at the moment, you're there for a reason, and you handle life and situations from that vantage point, you will be amazed at what happens and how things happen and what you start to become aware of. It's very powerful. Again, different strokes for different folks, but it makes a huge difference in the big picture, I think. All right, oops, I flicked too far there. Let's see. Label Melchizedek. Okay. If you start praying for people you are having issues with daily, it either gets better or they leave your life. It works. That's a good way to look at it. Sure. Okay. Christina, question number 1. Okay. That implies there's going to be more coming, but that's perfectly awesome. If another asks if you can give them money and say it's a large amount that seems beyond limitations, can you in your mind see us handing over money or making a mental money transfer? Can I see? Are you asking me to help you manifest a big gob of money so you can give it to somebody else? Or are you saying, can you see yourself handing them a big pile of money? You could do both. You could also see them coming across money on their own. A lot of the times when we're very specific about how something has to happen, we're forgetting about the middle ground problems, right? Ultimately, this person needs money, right? Right? I mean, does it have to come from you? Is there a reason you have to give it to them? Or are they just asking you because that's an easy way to go about it? Or because you've given them money in the past? That's different. And by the way, that's what they call codependence, right? If you keep doing something that someone keeps doing a bad behavior and you keep allowing them to do that bad behavior and even reward them for it, that you promote that bad behavior. You yourself are guilty of that bad behavior. It goes back to exactly what we were talking about earlier with the Goddard stuff, right? So by doing that, you actually can cause yourself a load of problems. So again, it's a good idea to maybe help them manifest money, period, or sort of come across money in a different way. Maybe they win the lottery, right? Like, it doesn't have to come from you. So that would be my first thing, Christina, is to maybe be careful how things are going about, and what are you playing a part in, and why does it need to be you, and is there a part of you that likes helping this person, because that's a bit of a psychological thing, kind of, right? So a lot of things that I would ask questions about in this particular situation. But yes, to answer your question, you can absolutely imagine giving them money. So that's for sure. Let's see what else we got here. I can't say that name, but it ends in Orsi. The second last name there is Orsi. Pretty sure I said that right. Can I manifest a text message, or should I only focus on the end result? Well, so that kind of goes back to my middle ground thing. An end result, I'm assuming, is a relationship or something larger than a text message, or a date or something. So yes, if that is your ultimate end game, yeah, don't put limitations on it. Don't specify how this manifestation has to happen. By doing that, you limit yourself. You limit your possibilities by saying, he needs to send me a text message because I want to know he cares. Maybe he's not ready for that. Like, focus on the end result. Be cool. Think about that, because when you start putting little obstacles or little things that may not happen, maybe happen, depends how you're manifesting them. Again, it's one of the things where if you're seeing signs happen because you're staying focused on the end result, it's different than manifesting signs that you're trying to say mean something. It's a very different angle about getting to the end result. The end result's focusing on the end result. You think about it until you feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Once you've accomplished that, you've basically set in motion a very powerful set of universal laws that begin to create that reality. When you start to say, I want a text message, okay, that might not be how they were going to come at it. Maybe they were going to call you. Maybe you were going to bump into each other someplace. Like, maybe there was a better way for this to play out, and a text message actually might muddy the waters. Maybe they text you something, and then you come back a little too much love, a little too drippy, a little too sweet, and all of a sudden you're sort of kind of pushing them in a weird direction, right? I mean, things can play out very weirdly. They usually happen perfectly when we let them. When we try to micromanage them, we almost always invariably screw them up. It's just how it plays out. Yes, you might be able to manifest a text message, and that might be okay. I'm not saying it's always this way and it's always that way. No. But when you play the numbers, a lot of the times you're better to focus on the end result, make that happen, feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled, right? And then that's what you're creating. And then if a text message comes, or if a phone call comes, or if you bump into them at a restaurant or the Starbucks or wherever, then cool. More power to you. And if you do bump into them and you're trying to manifest a relationship with them, smile, wave, say hi, do something if you manifest yourself into the vicinity of them. That is you and the universe agreeing that, okay, here's your opportunity. They're not necessarily, especially if they don't know you, aren't necessarily going to, walk up to you and say, hey, here's a ring. I'll put it on your finger. Will you marry me? I've never met you before, right? They might walk up to you and say, oh my God, hi. I had a dream about a person that looked just like you. Like, it can happen any number of ways. But again, I like to play the numbers, frankly. So trying to put yourself into a place where you're making it the most successful for yourself is focusing on the end result and trying to feel that. So hopefully that helps. Gabriela Brasher Basilio. Dan, can I change someone's bad opinion or judgment about me, even when they don't notice that I've changed for better over the years? Yes. So just right off the bat, within your question is part of your problem. I'm gonna say that. So years ago, you had a situation with someone. I don't know what years is. Could be 2, but years ago, you had a situation with someone. And since then, you've changed. Yet, you still hold this recollection of this bad opinion they have about you. You're keeping this alive. It's you that believes this bad opinion is still there. So by imagining them being okay with, or noticing how you've changed by revising your thoughts, pruning shears of revision, as Goddard would call them, right? By revising your thoughts and changing it into, oh, I can hear him saying, oh my God, you've changed so much. But what your question says is, why is he still being this way after years when I've changed? You're still noticing how he's that way, right? So switch it, change it, revise it. It's your thought. It's your belief. As we were saying, our beliefs are what create it for us. Change your belief, Change your world. It's really how it plays out. So yes, you can do that, but I would focus your question a little differently, and I would try to come at it from that angle, and you will probably see much better results, I would say. Autumn Beauty, bless you as well. I only cry when I'm happy anymore. That's awesome. That's really, really awesome. That was, where are you? Miss Guyan? Can't say it. Okay, yeah, that's awesome. Autumn's talking to all sorts of people. Miss Hill, Ken, thoughts like, I wonder, is he crazy or a user? Or what's his bad side? Cause this guy not to be attracted to me? Yes, absolutely. Because you're focusing on a negative. You're under this impression that there must be something wrong with him by trying to find his dark side. What that sounds like to me is someone that keeps experiencing people with dark sides. So you keep looking for their dark side. But you yourself are creating this us pushed out where you're finding all the dark-sided people to come into your life. Rather than focusing on, I want to manifest a person that's good heart, great mind, is similar, like whatever the opposite, like whatever you consider yourself to be that's not dark, like then imagine that of a person that's going to find you. Imagine someone like that. I mean, everyone's got a dark side, but you don't go looking for it. I mean, if someone gets angry once a year, are you going to hunt down their dark side just so I can see what that one day is going to be like? Or do I enjoy the 354 great day, 364, why can't I remember 365? Thinking, good Lord, 364 great days, and then just kind of suffer through that one shucky day. Got myself. That's good. But again, it's that kind of concept when you shouldn't try to focus on it from that angle. That's my thought. You can do what you like, but that I would say will benefit you a great deal more. Let's see here. Palawasha Azmat. Can you imagine and therefore manifest for me? No, I'm not going to manifest for other people because I manifest for my own life and I'm working on manifesting for myself. And I really don't want to spend a lot of my thought time, which is productive, to necessarily try to help other people manifest their desires. What I would rather do is teach a man to fish, right? They say, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for his whole life. I'd rather help you learn how to fish for yourself. Palawasha. So, you can manifest this for sure. I promise you that. And how you're going to do that is you're going to imagine for yourself that you're going to become a member of the National Assembly of your country, Pakistan. You are going to accomplish that by focusing yourself and seeing yourself doing it, by imagining yourself sitting in your seat, in the assembly room or whatever, right, with all the other people. You're going to see yourself in that seat. You're going to see your little name tag on the front of it when you're walking up to it, Mr. So-and-so or however it says it, right? And then you're going to see the seat and you're going to see yourself looking out from that seat at all the constituents or whatever, right? You're going to see it in your mind. And you're going to feel that prestige. You're going to feel that power. You're going to feel that feeling. That is living in the wish fulfilled. And that is how you will manifest that. And by you manifesting that, it's going to bump you into people. It's going to open doors on your side. It's going to create that for you. Do not ask of another what you can do yourself because you put the power outside of your hands. You have just as much power as anybody else. Anybody else. You have just as much power. I am not better at this than you are. I pay attention to aspects maybe more. I may understand concepts of it better, but I am no different than you. You can do this. I can do this. Every one of you, Miss Hill, Autumn Beauty, Miss Guyan, Orsi, like all you, Strother, all you guys, Christina, you all, and all the other people. That's just what's on my screen right now. I apologize. Everybody can do this. So that is something that's very, very important for all of us to know. Nobody can do this better than you. You can do this better than anybody. You affect your life first and foremost. It's a very, very powerful place. And I hope that's okay. I didn't mean any disrespect to you, Palawasha, but you can do this, man, or woman, or you can do this. I promise. This is right there for you. Let's see here. I think I flicked too far again. Christina, question 2. What the heck? It's something unexpected. Telling people about the diagnosis or thinking about how to heal it is just bringing it into it on longer. So I get where your question is, I think, and it comes to when people maybe have cancer, for example, and they're told about the diagnosis. I have seen that affect people in 2 different ways. I have seen people take that information and basically give up and die very quickly. Seriously. And I've seen it affect people to where they go, nuh-uh, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. And they figure out a way, no matter what. Maybe it's chemo, maybe it's healthy choices alternative. Maybe they suddenly started eating figs every day and then they got better because they believed figs would heal them. Like, it really doesn't matter, frankly. It could be a placebo. I could take a water pill every day, but if I swear to God that's going to fix my problem's probably going to go away. So coming at it from that, I'm going to be longer. I'm going to keep living. When my mom was old, and this is up to her, but this is one thing I kept trying to do with her because she had many rounds of cancer. My Lord. The fact of the matter is I finally asked her, I go, Mom, what's something you've never done that you've always wanted to do? And she said, go to the Grand Canyon. And I said, all right, I want you to imagine going to the Grand Canyon, this coming spring. I want you to imagine seeing the Grand Canyon and going down there. Like, give yourself a reason to live, and you'll be amazed at what you will experience. And that was just not something my mom felt up to, wanted to. She couldn't get out of the chemo brain thoughts, I gotta stay close to the doctor because who knows, right? Like, I get it. Believe me. But ultimately, the way out of something is by focusing on the way out, not by focusing on what I'm trying to avoid. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work at all, in fact. So hopefully that helps for question number 2. Let's see here. Devin Allen. If you had bad thought transmissions at first, but they changed into positive, will the SP still be thinking of the old bad thoughts? Not unless they keep popping up in your head. But ultimately, let go of it, man. Like, yeah, we all make mistakes. I've said horrible things to people on one occasion and then become awesome friends with them, right? In fact, it was weird because there's very few times in my life where I can say someone hated me. There was actually someone I used to work with at the coffee shop that literally said, like, I hated you. She hated me. Absolutely. I didn't like her. I will be honest. I did not like her, and I didn't put up with any crap from her. I was at this coffee shop like 5 times longer than she was. I didn't care. They weren't going to put me anywhere. But I was a little bit resistant to her. Eventually kind of tried to work on that from a couple different angles. A lot of it was more just kind of trying to come at it from a loving, like appreciating the things about her that were cool. And we ended up becoming friends-ish, sort of, kind of. Certainly not hating each other. I wouldn't say friends. Like, I don't necessarily know if I'd still want to hang out with her. But needless to say, we healed that relationship. And it was because I wanted to. And it was, how that worked. So you can always make mistakes in the past. Just choose better in the future. Learn from them. That's always okay. If you're adjusting and learning, fantastic. If you're making the same mistake over and over, I don't think you're ready for forgiveness yet because you need to learn to change that behavior. So very different ways to look at it. Yeah, screw up once, cool, shame on you, right? Screw up twice, shame on me. So it changes things a little bit in that regard. All right, VAngel 1111. Oh, shucks. How do you keep and believe the self-love when you are only failing while people around you don't believe in LOA but are manifesting things all the time? All right, so that just goes back to what are you focusing on, VAngel 1111? You are focusing on how you are not accomplishing the things that you want to accomplish. Rather than living in the end of the wish fulfilled, feeling it, experiencing it, knowing that's coming, you do techniques and then immediately go, but it's not working. And that's not how manifestation works. And what you're doing is you're actually constantly walking around with the handbrake on. You're constantly walking around slowing yourself down, or even constantly walking around and turning yourself backwards and walking backwards and doing all sorts of interesting things. You have to focus on how things are working. People around you that don't even believe in LOA are manifesting. Well, first off, I'm going to say if you don't believe in gravity, it doesn't mean gravity doesn't exist and it doesn't hold you to the planet, right? If you don't believe in law of attraction, it doesn't matter because law of attraction is still happening based off of what you focus on, based off of what you think, and based off what you feel. There's no on-off button. I actually did a video a while back. Is there an on-off button for law of attraction? And there's not. It's always on. There's no way to turn it off. There's no way to stop it. There's only ways and techniques to help guide us into using law of attraction for our benefit rather than using it to damage what we're attempting to do. So that's one of the larger differences. A lot of times is I'm either focusing on helping myself or I'm focusing on hurting myself. And focusing on hurting yourself is where a lot of these problems will start to creep up on you, basically. So hopefully that helps. Let's see, Marcus Mills. When you accidentally relive a situation in your mind, does this reaffirm to manifest over again? It does. If you just did it once, no big deal. affirmations, think the opposite, think good, think good. If you keep reliving it, yeah, you're going to experience that again. You really want to try to get that under control. And I know a lot of people are like, but it's not my fault. These thoughts just keep popping into my head. You entertain it. You stay with it. You think about it more. You're like, so-and-so pops into your head and you're like, oh, I don't want to talk about politics. And then I'm already having the discussion with them, right? Like, no, stop. Think something else. Puppies, rainbows, birdies, I don't know, whatever, kittens, whatever makes you happy. Soft pillows, ladies with pillows and feathers flying around. Anyway, that's just an image I like. I've got problems. It's okay. Don't mind me. Okay, let's see what we got here. Ms. Zawi. Oh, hello from Pakistan. Hello, people. Let's see. We've got Janvi Bharti. Dan, I have a question. When we do meditations, affirmations, does it affect our SP who lives in the other city? Do they feel us? I think is what you're trying to ask. And yes, for sure. You could be literally. Let's just be extreme. Let's be hyperbolic. John V. They could be on Mars, and you could be here on Earth, and you could think about them. They would instantly feel you. Instantly. And yes, you could affect the manifestation of them. Now, granted, if you're trying to date someone that's on Mars, or AKA if you're trying to date a Martian, I might just say the commute is a little tricky. I think it's about on the closest, 8, 9 months, 7 months? And then on the longest, it can be up to like 18 months to go and visit them. So it's not like just hopping on the old interstate and crossing town. But yeah, unfortunately. So yeah, no, it works. I'm sorry for trying to be funny. That's not very funny, but I'm trying, what the hell. Hey, what else we got? Soul 33.3. I'm getting clearer about what I want to manifest, and lately I'm practicing the affirmations and feelings of something wonderful is happening to me now. I love that, by the way. Is it okay to be vague when living in the end? Yes. I would say just try to focus on the things that you are sure you want: happiness, comfort, content, maybe living environment, maybe city. Maybe just imagine yourself staring at a sunset and the beach and just feeling good and tranquil. I mean, just even that's going to manifest better, happier things in your life. So yeah, you don't have to be specific. If you want something specific, it certainly helps to be specific. But no, if you're just kind of looking for an overall kind of groovy feel, yeah, shoot, be a little more generic on that. Like I said, sitting on a rock and having the breeze, warm breeze, like going to Hawaii. Man, when I was in Hawaii, it was so amazing. You could sit out there when the sun's going down. And you just get this breeze sometimes, and it's warm, and you get the waves crashing, and the sun's just gorgeous, and you're on an island. Oh, man, it's amazing, right? So that image and feeling for me is definitely going to manifest more tranquility, peaceful, probably more trips to Hawaii, which would be great. Would enjoy that for sure. So again, yeah, all those things definitely play a large role as well. All right, John B., let's check this out. Dan, I have a question. When we do meditation, you already asked that question. You asked it twice. You can't. You've asked it like 8 times. That's not okay. No, you're not. Twice. I'm sorry. Devin Allen. Another question is, no matter what, you can still reverse despite third party even after a while. Yes, you can reverse things even after a while. You can reverse things after years. You can reverse things, eons. Now, if they're married, I don't know if I would necessarily try to reverse. Remember what we were talking about earlier in this video. If I'm trying to manifest something for somebody and they don't want it, it gets reflected back on me. So you can, by trying to remove someone from a relationship that maybe they want to be in, or maybe they can't comprehend not being in, you can actually kind of do sort of some harm to yourself. So again, I know people are kind of weird when I say as long as it's good for all parties. It's just kind of a good little caveat to put on there because you don't necessarily want things reflecting back on you. But that being said, go with forgiveness, go with love. Always try to, even if they're in another relationship, still come at it from I love you, I forgive you, everything's cool. And relationships do end, especially here in the United States. I mean, shoot, I think 50% is the divorce rate right now. And California is probably even over that, frankly. So again, relationships end. Not always. I know it's partially my belief, and it is. I grew up in that. So, sometimes that's why I'm not married and don't want to be, frankly. All right. And let's see if I can say any Pop Beerman. I don't know. There is a Hebrew saying, as long as the candle is lit, it can be repaired, fixed. Candle equals soul. As long as the soul is alive, it can be fixed. I'm still trying to figure out the how. Nice. Just keep imagining the fixed portion. Maybe try to stop focusing on your broken soul. And the other side is, by the way, and I think you mean life versus soul, or maybe consciousness, because our souls continue on, and I believe even the Jewish tradition believes that, right? So we continue on even after. So I know what you mean, and I think you're probably like, yeah, that's what I meant. So I'm there with you. It's cool. But very cool. Yeah, candles can be fixed, right? Just add some extra wax and whatnot, and it's repaired, right? You can always, or get it sort of warm, and you can kind of it back into place. So that also works. That's very cool. I like that. Let's see here. Jillian Schlegger. Is there a story that I missed about the Magic Man with the unicorn behind you? A lot of people ask me about the Magic Man. He represents my master teacher, for sure. And then I'm just very into magic. I'm very into fairies. I'm very into ethereal spirits. I'm into beings from other dimensions. I'm into all sorts of crazy things. But yes, he represents the spiritual aspect of myself, and again, is my master teacher. So it's kind of cool. Yeah, so that's that. And it's actually Ferraro is the artist, and it's some lithograph from, I don't know, I've read it before. What is this? 1988 SCAFA-TORNABENE Art Publishing Company, Inc. It's out of New York. Needless to say, I have made efforts to find this, and I realized that I think sometimes trying to replace the exact same thing with its thing is not necessarily what universe or my master teacher wants. I'm suspicious that there's maybe something else out there. So I'm open to other pictures and whatnot. So that's kind of what I'm manifesting right now. And I'm, again, like the lady was asking earlier, is there a fixed thing that I'm trying to manifest? No. I'm just waiting for its replacement, and it'll show up when it does. I'm not in a hurry. I don't question whether or not it's working. I know it's working. It may not happen now. It might happen in a year. It'll happen when it should, and it'll probably be funny when I do change it out. Look to see what's going on with my channel at that point, because it'll probably indicate something, right? Something's probably happening that's a bit different, because it'll be a neat little symbolic indication of that. All right. Stoic Soul, can you brief us on some specific techniques for manifestations? Also share what worked best for you. I've done a bunch of stuff on manifestation techniques. I mean, I'll cover a few. Living in the end, acting as if, isn't it wonderful technique. Writing. Writing is a good one for me, by the way. I've found that to be very, very good. So scripting, you write out lists of exactly what you're looking for, and you try to be as specific as you want. That one's very, very effective for me. It's how I manifested my current girlfriend. It was very much along those lines. So that's a very key one. What's another good one? The vision boards. Vision boards are great, especially for people that are visual. It helps you see it all the time. It helps you really get into it. And then for those of you that have a lot of doubts, affirmations. Affirmations, have a few go-to affirmations. Go online, find an affirmation for whatever it is that you seem to have a hard time with. Find an affirmation for it. There was a website I had at one point that had like 1,000 affirmations or some crazy number, and they were broken into different categories. So whatever works. And if there was something I was having a hard time with, I'd grab 2 or 3 of those, maybe write them on a piece of paper, maybe write them on my phone on something, right? And then that way you've always got something you can pull out of your backside, if you will, and hopefully spin your mood into a better place, or turn that frown upside down, as they might say. So hopefully that helps. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of, just search technique on my channel if you're curious what I've talked about. I've done a bunch of videos on different techniques, a whole bunch of techniques. So, but yeah, I think the scripting is probably one of the most effective. Another one for me too is talking, but that I'll do. I have an application called Dictadroid. It's on my phone, and it allows me to just record. So sometimes I'll kind of do a stream of consciousness into my phone. I'll ask myself some sort of question and then just hit record and just start talking. I've found some very fun, cool stuff with that too. So, play around with all these things. The Guru Within. I've been waiting 5 random manifestations daily just to prove how powerful we can be, even without so much focus and feeling. Awesome. Well, good for you. That's really, really awesome. Let's see here. Oh, dude. Really? Arjun? Thank you, man. That is really, really cool of you. That is beyond cool of you. Let's see. John Loper. I live in New Zealand and 19. I started a year ago. Hey, good for you, by the way. And can I just say something real quick to New Zealand? I love the Kiwis, love all you guys, and I worked for Fisher and Paykel Healthcare for a period of time. Huge manufacturer of healthcare and appliances down there in New Zealand. Appliances are a little weird, but the healthcare was cool. A lot of respiratory, neonatal respiratory stuff for hospitals, and then CPAPs for people that have sleep apnea. So you wear a mask, and it forces positive pressure into your lungs, and then you can breathe, and you don't die 52 times every night, and actually find that you sleep better. So anyway, very, very cool stuff. And dude, Arjun, that is so beyond cool. You are the best. Let's see. Paul Wash is back in here. Do we imagine once and then drop the desire, or do we keep repeating? Okay, so that's a really powerful question that a lot of people ask. Let's just cover that. Let's spend a couple minutes on this real quick. Do we imagine once and then let it go? I've talked about that a lot, just letting go. And it is powerful. It is very, very powerful technique. Or do we do it daily and keep doing it? And that's also a powerful technique. What? How can they both be powerful? I know. It's very confusing, this whole law of attraction thing. But fact of the matter is, they're both powerful because, one, like my picture, when you think of something, manifest it, and go, all right, it's coming, and I let it go. I don't slow it down ever. I don't ever think about it and go, oh, am I not going to get my picture? Like, I don't ever do that, ever. So from that standpoint, this bad boy's coming. If I wanted to speed it up, I don't know. Again, I wonder sometimes about things happening in the divine right time and us sometimes trying to force things. And oftentimes when it comes to relationships, when it comes to jobs, when it comes to a lot of things, wow, thank you, whoever that was that just added. You guys are amazing. But when it comes to creating things in our life, if you have doubts frequently, it's better to keep living in the wish fulfilled and to keep kind of reaffirming, to keep the wheels moving forward. If you keep pulling the handbrake up, then yes, I think doing it on a regular basis, at least until you truly believe that this is yours. I think Goddard talks about until the energy basically pushes the consciousness into the direction of what it is that you're creating, and it pushes out any room for doubt. That process is when you let go. You don't need to do it anymore at that point because it's perfect. You're perfect as is. So that's something that's very, 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 very cool to do. And yeah, so that helps a lot, I think, when you can understand what are my limitations? What's holding me back? Is it because I keep doubting this? Then yeah, keep doing the techniques. If you know it works and you know you're going to get this and you're not worried about it, one and done, man. You don't need to do any more than that. Shoot, just imagine it. Get to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Imagine how excited you're going to be when I get my new picture, right? Ooh, yay, right? And it comes and it's actually going to have a frame and it's not going to be beat up and all scratched up. This thing's been through hell, man. This thing survived about 7 moves. It's amazing it's still in one piece. But yeah, it is what it is. It's super special to me, though. And yeah, so that's kind of how it is. You come at it from that direction, and you should be fabulous. The Guru Within, thank you, brother. Wow. Dude, Arjun, I hope you didn't do 2 of those because that's incredible. Wow, thank you. So Sharon, the party queen, I think I've seen your name in here before, and I love your name. That's just awesome. And I just love the fact that you're a party queen. Good for you. I had a vision board for 5 years. No changes. Can changes still be coming? I don't know what I can be doing wrong. You can be doing things all sorts of right. Not sure what the vision board is. Maybe there's some doubts. Maybe I'd be curious. Maybe you can be a little more specific, Sharon, if you can throw some, like, what are you trying to manifest or what is it covering? And then maybe that'll give me a little help. Right now, I don't know. Maybe it's not got images that are really taking you to your dream vision. Like maybe it's not really a true indication of what you really want. Maybe it's sort of what you want. Like you want to get married, but you've got a wedding dress. Like that's not necessarily the wedding, right? That's the dress. So I don't know. Like I'd be really curious what you come up with. Again, the Guru Within. Thank you, Arjun. You're ridiculously awesome. Thank you, buddy. That is so beyond awesome. All right, let's see if I can find you. Timothy Wood. Cool. Neat name. Can you move a tree from one location to another with your mind? You can, but let's say it this way, because it's a trick question, I think, to a degree. Can I, with my mind, cause a tree to suddenly not be there like the next day and it sort of be somewhere else, and I could carve something on it to prove that? From that, no, but if you imagined that tree ending up in another spot and you kept holding that vision, you could theoretically manifest some sort of reason this tree needs to be moved, or cut down, and maybe they end up building a swing with right? Like, there's weird ways that I think that manifestation could play out, but I mean, I don't know, the trees got saying that, and you can't really just pick a tree up out of the ground and not cause it pretty much tremendous shock. So you're asking that tree to give up its life so you can prove to others. And I do think trees are conscious, by the way. If you ever hugged a tree, it's pretty amazing, especially if you've hugged a big one. They can tell some stories. But to your point, yeah, he can, but I think that's kind of like trying to manifest flying, right? Can I manifest flying with my mind? You can, but you're probably going to need some sort of machine to help you. I don't think you're going to necessarily manifest it with just your mind, because then it talks about having to get other people to believe that you're floating around like that. It requires them to believe that you're magic. And a lot of people, if they saw you floating, would treat you like you're sort of a overly special, right? They treat you like you're a saint or like you're a master. And so in doing that, it creates a weird behavior. And that's something that's generally frowned upon from a universal standpoint. We're getting off into some really crazy stuff, but I love the question. I did do something, the obvious contradiction in LOA. It's a video I did a while back. If you want to listen to a video where I talk about exactly that subject, that would be one I would recommend. It didn't get a lot of views, and it upset a few people because I do talk about the fact that I think there are a few things that sometimes just thinking ourselves through is a lot, and it requires people to believe stuff that might be outside the realm of possibility for them. And I used a friend of mine that's paralyzed from the armpits down, and his story, and he hates my channel. He hates what I talk about because he's kind of in a situation where he can't believe other than that. So from his standpoint, it might be really, really hard for him to ever be able to think himself into a body that's able to walk again. But it is pretty powerful how that all plays out. That is for sure. Okay, so let's see if I can find stuff. Can we manifest our SP after 10 months of separation? You could manifest your SP after 50 months of separation, and they could have 12 other boyfriends, and you could still manifest them back. So you're asking if they can do it, even if they're living with a third party. For sure. I've definitely seen relationships fall apart. Probably played my part in a couple of those. So I've been there. Yeah, you can totally do that, for sure. Let's see. Autumn, Sharon, I manifested my house. I've done the same. Was that not awesome? I felt pretty impressed when I manifested the condo I'm in. John Loper, who is that man in the background? Your office partner. This guy? Is that who you're talking about? I'm assuming that's the only picture you can see. I'm assuming it's who you're talking about. Yeah, he is my office partner, even though this kind of is a second office. My work office is in the other room. But anyway, can you answer my second question about narcissists? Scroll up. Oh, okay. Miss Hill. A little demanding, but that's okay. It's okay. A lot of people in here. You could have just copied and pasted it, maybe. But then I'd probably give you crap for saying it over. I can't find it, so I don't know. Maybe copy paste it in there. I don't see where it's at. I don't want to waste a bunch of time trying to find it. Let's see here. It looks like we're maybe getting down to the end here. The Guru Within. How do you know if a scene has been planted? I've been doing but doubt. So doubts, handbrake, right off the bat. Right off the bat, in your question is your answer. You doubt. Then you follow up with because. You give me a reason why you doubt, which I've frequently said, and I'll finish your question, I promise, but this is kind of how this game is played, right? You, right off the bat, have doubts, and the reason you have doubts is because you have some sort of belief or because you keep noticing that right now things aren't the way you want. And so you believe that seeing is believing. And I've done a bunch of videos. There Is No Fiction, I think, is one of the most really well-done ones that I did. That was all Goddard. And just did a fun talk with it. There is no fiction. But it's the fact that there's the difference between looking at what's happening around you as proof that what you're doing is working versus understanding that what I imagine is real and becomes my reality. There's two different ways to look at how manifestation works. And coming at it from the I'll believe it when I see it, you're going to have a harder time because you're never going to see the thing happen before it happens, right? So if I'm trying to manifest a certain situation, up until that thing finally manifests, it's not here. That could be a day, it could be a week, it could be a month. But if I keep noticing how it's not here, I'm putting the handbrake on and I'm manifesting not having it. By noticing it's not here, I'm focused on how it's not here. Then I feel frustrated. Now there's a feeling involved. So now that your subconscious runs off and manifests that for you. The second you do that, you create that negative feeling. And that will manifest that negative result. So let's go back to the question. I've been doing but doubts because the emotions won't be as intense, visualizations will be weak, or sometimes unable to incorporate all the senses effectively. So you've got a block right now, and you're having a hard time with it, and you believe you have a block right now. And so because of that block right now, you're having a hard time. The way to get around that, just understand, all right, I'm just having some stuff, that's cool. Maybe do some meditation, kind of help clear the mind, and then do your imagining, or just keep at it. And know that it'll get better, I'll get connected, I'll get smooth, it's gonna improve. Again, it's that looking where you would like to go, not, I'm having a hard time doing this, how can I get better at doing something I'm really sucky at? Well, that you're never gonna get any better. How about, this isn't working real well, I need to change that, so how can I start getting better? How can I start practicing this more and spending time and then really start to get better where I can connect, I can feel it? Like I'm going to experience more of that where I'm feeling the feeling of the wish fulfilled. I'm going to see it with additional senses. I want to actually be able to smell it. I want to be able to imagine the sense of smell on this, and so I'm going to do that, right? You start to claim what you're going to do. And you tell the universe and your higher self and everything else, this is exactly what I'm gonna do. Dude, Arjun, you're awesome. You are just truly awesome. Okay. Shama Alt, yes, the same question I wanted. Who's that? Oh, the guru within, maybe? Okay. Hi, Dan. Hello, Ohas or Ohastapa? Ohas? Probably it's Ohas. I would hope. Let's see. Attracting your ideal client, that works. I'm just trying to find a question in here. The man in the picture looks like a manifester. Well, he's a wizard, so that's kind of what wizards do. They do magic. Magic is basically, it's truly manifesting, no question about it. But there's different forms of magic. There's two sides of it, and we can get into a whole long thing there, but I'll probably never really get into magic on this channel, I'll be honest with you, because it's a very dangerous topic to talk about with people that aren't necessarily evolved, and I'm not saying you're not, but it was something I would do one-on-one. I would never do it across the broad channel where just anybody could listen, because a lot of people are going to hear it that won't be ready for it. When visualizing an SP, do we need to see their face? I get this fear if I'm not manifesting the person I want. Okay, so there's a funny little cliche, Shama, that spiritual circles say, what you fear, you draw near. The reason is by fearing something, you put power towards it, a lot of power towards it. Because now you're thinking of something, and then you're having a very strong feeling about it. And it doesn't matter if that feeling is a good feeling or a bad feeling. A feeling is a feeling, and a feeling is what creates. If it's a bad feeling, it's usually because it's something we don't want, and by seeing it and feeling it, we're going to put power towards it. If you want to alter that, you need to imagine the thing that you would like to experience, try to feel that feeling, and really that's kind of how you counter any of these fear-based thoughts. And so that's one thing that's within your question. Do you need to see their face? If it's a specific person, it'd be nice to see their face, so maybe work on trying to see that more clearly. That's a good indication of how close this reality is, I've found. The more clear and the more senses that you can get into the image, the closer it is to your reality. If it's still blurry, keep at it, keep working it, just a little further off, and it doesn't mean anything, and time is really irrelevant. A lot can change overnight, right? You can change a lot inside yourself, and then tomorrow can be a very different day. I've seen people make quantum shifts in extremely short periods of time. So don't ever let that stop you. But I would say focus, try to get the face in there if it's a very specific person. If it's not a specific person, it's just a random, I want to be in love and I want a man to come into my life. Yeah, see him from behind, that's fine. Or see him walking up and have his face be blurry. It's okay. It'll spell itself out, and you'll probably know when you meet him. It'll be very, very cool. Let's go. Hello from England as well. Let's see. So I answered that question. Making hella manifestation gains. Love it. Okay, Miss Hill, does focusing mean if someone researches or watches videos about narcissists bringing those types in their life? I have a friend that does this. What you focus on is what you bring in your life. If you're focusing on narcissists, you are going to find probably that you're going to attract them. I don't know. It depends, I guess, because you could just be into narcissists. There's going to be all sorts of narcissists in the world. Doesn't mean you're going to necessarily date one. But by focusing on narcissists, you certainly are helping keep them around you. And most likely she sees examples of narcissists all over the place. And if she believes that men are narcissists, then she's probably going to attract that. And then what Neville says, and this is the best part, is the fact that she is studying narcissists and learning about narcissists and very into narcissists means she's a narcissist. It's active in her. And so the reason it's active in her, that's why she sees it all around her. Again, what we talked about at the start of this video with Goddard, she's creating that because that's active in her. That's what she's activated inside herself. It's what she's aware of. And so because of that, it's what she sees. And so when she dates men, that narcissist part of them is going to be very pronounced because that's what she expects to see. And the dude they might break up after 3 dates, and the dude may be scratching his head going, well, I don't know what happened. Like, it was going so well. And she's like, he's a narcissist, man. He's just so into himself. He looked at his phone 3 times at dinner. 3 times. And you know what? Forget it. He's too into his little device. He's too into his scythe. It's like, yeah, but you looked at your phone 5 times. Yeah, that's different. It's kind of one of those things. So, yeah, if someone's thinking of narcissists, they're probably going to bump into a few more of them than those of us that don't think about that stuff all that often. All right, let's see here. Blessed Happy. I like the name. Trying to manifest my SP for 6 months. I have strong visualizations. I can sense it. Can feel it. I can touch it. But it's been 6 months now. No contact, nothing there between us. Sometimes I doubt. Because, once again, you trust what you see over what you're imagining. And I can't force you to change that. That's just kind of a reality that we change or that we travel through. As beginners kind of get into law of attraction, a lot of the times we see what happens around us as evidence of what we're saying, right? So we first start playing with this, and now we're manifesting bottles of water and green traffic signals and parking spaces, and we see it in our own reality reasonably quickly. Then we, quote, go for the big thing. The big thing is only big because we've got all sorts of extra stigma attached to it, right? There's maybe a past, maybe it's an issue of trying to, I don't know, whatever, trying to change something, trying to get someone together with me that doesn't feel that way, whatever. Fact of the matter is we've got doubts. We're creating doubts. I kind of lost my train of thought, sorry. But we're creating these doubts in our world. And that is what starts to cause the problems with our manifestation. So when we look at what's not happening and go, yeah, this isn't working because they still haven't contacted me and it's been 6 months. Well, maybe come at it from a different angle, or maybe you're spending time like just trying to get a contact from them versus maybe trying to manifest an interaction with them. I don't know. There's a lot of ways you can go about it. I don't consider 6 months to be too long by any means, and I would maybe go back to the drawing board a little bit on what you're trying to manifest. Maybe it's a reunion, and maybe that's what I would like, trying to manifest them giving you a hug and just saying, I've missed you, and I'm just so happy to see you again, right? Like, just manifest that moment and how good that'll feel and how wonderful you're going to feel having that moment. And then give that a go for a little while, because first off, that just felt really good when I thought of it. And so that's going to create a better feeling, something that's more living in the wish fulfilled kind of thing, and that should hopefully help. Okay. Rabia Munir. I am literally thinking about if they are thinking about us, so we are receiving, or it's just us thinking about them, and it's something created in our own head. If you think about them thinking about you, it's totally you. I've said this before. Usually how it happens when it's not you is like you're going to be like making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? And I hope you're not allergic to peanuts. So for those of you that are, I'm sorry, be careful. I'm talking about peanuts, right? But I'm doing my peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I think I'll cut it in triangle, and hey, so-and-so just popped into my head. That's probably them. When I'm like making a peanut butter sandwich, and I'm like, man, so-and-so used to love peanut butter sandwiches. Ooh, I wonder if she's thinking about me. No, that was you. That was 100% you. Like, that was, you went down that thought path and got to that place on your own. Now, on a thought transmission, you are transmitting to them. They might be transmitting back. I can't say for sure, but it is tricky, and I know a lot of people very much want to be able to like figure out like, hey, how do I know that this is the case? And it's like, sometimes it's really hard to tell because it really depends on a lot of sensitivity issues, depends on what work you've done, chakra work. Like there's a whole lot of stuff you can spiritually work on. Years of evolution to get to a place where your perceptions are more trustworthy and certainly stronger. So that's something to keep in mind. And also you get to a point too where you get too sensitive. Sometimes you got to shut it off. You're hearing stuff from everyone. And you're like, I don't want to know what everyone's thinking. So, yeah. Mr. Theo Mighty One. Why is it once we're no longer with our SPs, we go into a state of thinking negatively? If we want them back as we weren't this way at the beginning when first getting with them. Why do we get into negativity? I think a lot of the times people just, you look at situations and we judge them, right? Because we've gone through things in the past. A lot of us are kind of running on autopilot. Not saying that's the case here, but, one was breakups are considered kind of bad. I think it's just unanimously anyone that's never been through one has heard that breakups suck and certainly doesn't want one. For people that have been through them and then gotten on to other relationships, breakups still suck, but you see it as a part of life, right? So you just know that things like that can happen, and they do lead to different pastures and oftentimes greener pastures for that matter. But that being said, and then there's kind of the first one or the first major one, and it hurts bad. Breakups suck. They're painful. It hurts to really love and trust somebody and then have that trust come out of the woodwork. It sucks when we're maybe not our best version of ourselves and we cause the breakup. It sucks if maybe you do something that's pretty hard to forgive and they end up not forgiving you for it, probably because you didn't forgive yourself, whatever. But there's a lot of ways these things can play out. So negativity usually just comes from the fact that breakups are kind of painful. And we get very focused and fixated on how they're not there, how this habit that I had in my life of seeing them on a regular basis, of maybe having experiences with them that aren't happening now. Then sometimes, a lot of times, we'll think of them with other people, and that will drive us insane. Like, I'm not trying to activate all this stuff in you. I'm just saying that there's a lot of components that if we focus on, tend to cause pain. From those places, either you can focus on the fact that you're getting back together. You can focus on the fact that you're working on self-love, trying to make yourself a better person, make yourself more interesting and more desirous to be around. And so by spending time working on that, you can certainly do that. You can work on improving your life, maybe your financial situation, maybe where you're living. Like, use this as a moment to try to really build yourself up rather than focus on how you feel like you've been knocked down. The big thing in life is you're going to be knocked down numerous times in life. And the trick is, can you get back up, dust yourself off, and continue on? And that's what separates winners from losers, is the ability to step up and continue even when you've been knocked down. Otherwise, you can get knocked down and wallow in it and just really watch your life crumble around you until you finally say, screw this, I'm picking myself up by the bootstraps and I'm moving forward. This is not going to work for me. So hopefully that helps. Okay, we're getting close to where I'm going to have to call it. This is awesome. You guys are just keep going and going. All right, Orsi's back in the play. All right. Can living with a toxic family hold me back from getting my manifestations? If I have a belief they are holding me back, how do I change it? Well, that's like, if you have a belief, you have to, wow. You have to believe that you are in power of your life, that your thoughts are your life, and you control what you can control. When you start to separate that from what others are doing, and you start to come at it from yourself, and how can I open things up? How can I open my life up to maybe move in with a different family, or maybe end up, so I don't know what your situation is. I don't know how young you are. Maybe you're 23 and you're living at home and you're tired of it, like whatever. Like maybe it's time to move out. Whatever the case is, it's looking at up and out rather than kind of paying attention to the fact that they're negative. So there's lots of negative people in the world. And you will notice that when you are more negative, you'll have negative people around you. When you change what's going on inside of you to more positive, you'll notice there's more positive people around you. It's just how it works. Where you're at internally is what you'll notice around you. So if you keep noticing the negative and the fact that there's toxic people, and you use very strong words, toxic people around you, this is because you've got some toxicity awakened within yourself. So looking at changing that, who you are, where you think this toxicity is. What are you that way? Are you being the best version of yourself? Are there options where someone might say something toxic and that actually gets a reaction out of you and you go down that path with them? Well, then you're kind of guilty too, right? They're not forcing you there. You're allowing them to take you there. So you work on changing that aspect inside yourself, and you can actually start to see things go away. And it's really what Goddard talks about too, is it's, you want to change the outside world, you got to change what's going on inside, because everything's already around you. It's all out there. Good, bad, narcissist, not narcissist, they're all out there. Whatever lenses I'm putting on, right? Whatever, yellow lens, and then I just see yellow people around me. I put on the orange lens, I just see orange people around me. It's the same thing. You put on your narcissist lens, you see narcissists everywhere. If you put on your toxic lens, you see toxic everywhere. If you put on your people are awesome lens, you're like, wow, that little guy just helped someone up. That little puppy and the little baby, it's so cute, right? Like, you see amazing things around you. So whatever lens you choose to put on is the world you will see. That's why they say change inside yourself and you change the outside. And that's really how that really works. It's pretty awesome. Someone's asking about Ho'oponopono, I think. This is so hard when this, like, you click on it and like goes flying. There it is. Stoic Soul, try Ho'oponopono. Yeah, no matter what, Ho'oponopono is awesome. Someone was wanting me to do a show on that. I love you. Please forgive me. Or please, whatever. There's 4 steps. Someone write them in there because I have to look it up, and I always forget them. Sad. There's 4 things, and they're something that I don't typically use the technique. I love the technique. I just don't use it. I've got, like I said, I write astral letters if I'm really worried about it. Otherwise, I just work on it in my own mind. But Ho'oponopono is a great one if you need a solid technique to work on forgiving or being forgiven by another person. Again, it's where it comes at from us. So if someone needs to forgive you, you think someone needs to forgive you, forgive yourself first and watch what happens. Seriously, as an experiment, forgive yourself first and then see what happens with them. And imagine them just saying, oh my God, I've missed you. I know, it's okay. I just haven't seen you in a long time and I really miss you. They don't even have to be like, and I forgive you. It doesn't even need to be said. The fact that they're hugging you, telling you they missed you, that kind of implies forgiveness is there. So forgive yourself for making a mistake. Learn from it. Don't do it again. And watch what happens in your life. Seriously, watch. That's all I can do. I dare you to try it, and you'll be amazed what sort of awesome, crazy stuff you see. Let's see here. Mitsuri Rosales. I was to manifest a date with this cute barista I saw the other day. Okay. How do we make work on listening to our gut? I'm a very indecisive person. I don't like to have options because I never know what I actually want. Yeah. So I would maybe try a list for you. I would suggest create a list of things you want. Think about it. It's really hard for some people, especially people that are used to being pleasers or helping others or like always there to assist others, like you live for that. When people like that are asked, hey, what do you actually want? They're like, for everybody in the world to be happy. Like weird things that aren't their own. And so it is hard sometimes for people that are used to helping others to actually stop and think, what is it that I actually desire in life? What are some things that would be cool to have? What are some goals that I'd like to see happen? Maybe a nicer place to live, maybe a higher income, maybe a different vehicle, maybe a new bike that I pedal around, maybe some new exercise place. I don't know. But put a list together of things that you want. Start there. And then that makes decisions easier because if one of the things that you want pops up, you're like, well, that decision was already made. That's easy. Yeah, let's do that. But if you don't know and don't want and you're indecisive because you don't know what you want, well, you can't expect anyone else to know what you want. You can't really expect anyone to sort of approach you because you're kind of hazy, right? You're like, I don't know. She's a little smoky. Like, I never know where she's at, right? Says one thing 1 second and then something totally opposite. It's like, I don't even know what you're doing or saying or trying to get me to understand. So it causes a whole slew of problems in that regard. So open it up and be amazed at how things can happen when you finally realize what you want. And it's tough. I agree. I was probably one of the hardest parts about law of attraction for me was for me to sit there and go, wow, I've been very service oriented my entire life. And here I am now wanting to look out for me. And so, yeah, it was a big step. It was tough, but I've gotten better at it, and I'm still working on it. There's still parts of it where I forget that, oh yeah, what do I want? Be a little more selfish sometimes, Dan. I try to help others, certainly. You guys are aware of my channel and whatnot, but yeah, I mean, I even try to do that personally. It's just the way I am as a person, but got to have your moments where you're a little selfish too. Like, what do I want? What's Dan want? Well, Dan thinks about it. Dan maybe writes it down, but that's how I work through it. All right. Autumn Beauty, those manifestations, yes, P, you have to be happy by yourself. Do what you love. I agree with that. Yeah, conscious living. Yeah, Autumn, you're right on the money. It really is helpful to, like, if you're trying to manifest an SP, if you're not happy in your own life, like happy as you are, if your happiness is only going to come if they're in your life, you're not a very attractive choice right now then, are you? Because you're kind of in this unhappy place. You're in this sort of bitter place, and that doesn't feel good to another. So why would I want to have a relationship with an unhappy, miserable person when I could have a relationship with someone that's not unhappy and miserable? You've got to look at, am I being attractive to the person I want to be with? I'm only going to be happy if you want that. That's not a good thing. Like, if a girl says, I'm only going to be happy if I'm with you, that freaks me out because that puts all the pressure on me to make her happy. And I don't want to have to live my entire life being responsible completely for someone else's mood. That's not fair to me. Like, I'm trying to manage my own stuff. And now I got to worry about, what, are you okay? Or why are you unhappy? What's going, no, that's not helping me out any. And I would say there are people, you might be able to very easily manifest somebody that wants to do that for you. So maybe that's a direction to go if you want to stay like that. But as Autumn was saying, kind of putting yourself into that I'm happy already place. Oh my gosh, the things that you can experience and manifest into your life, to me, are far superior to when I'm walking around being all bummed and hating life and all that. It doesn't really benefit any of us when that's the case. So hopefully that helps. The Hillian Hero 22. So he's talking to Stoics. So I'll let you guys just have your little conversations, or big conversation, really. Jillian, have you read Dr. Joseph Murphy, Power of Your Subconscious Mind? He talks about reprogramming the subconscious as Goddard does. I don't believe I've read that book. Joseph Murphy was actually someone that was a major influencer of Goddard, actually. He, I believe, if I remember correctly, I was just reading this recently. I want to say Murphy popped in around the 20s. And Goddard was influenced by him to some degree. But yeah, Joseph Murphy is awesome. He's definitely where Goddard got some of his influences, and they are definitely smoking from the same blunt, if you know what I'm saying. So that being said, manifested, let's see, thank you, Dan, regarding your vision board. Oh, cool. Knockouts. Oh, nice. Let's see here. I love when it skips. Okay, Ray Ra, 96. Oh, she's talking to Sharon. Okay. People having conversations with others, which is awesome. I love the fact you guys are chatting with each other. That is fantastic. Love pitch. Let's see. Love living pitch. Agreed. All right. Well, it looks like we're getting down to the end. All right. At Dan, I want to bed a bit worried last night, and I'm concerned. I might have impressed on subconscious mind something I don't want to manifest. How do you reverse it and make sure it doesn't happen? We focus on what you would like to experience. By getting all nervous that you've screwed stuff up, you're actually putting more power on the negative thing. We have mistakes. We're going to think bad things from time to time. We're going to have moments where something pops up and we even react to it emotionally. If you keep feeding it, you give it power. If you have it for a moment, yeah, it's attractive. Like I had a negative thought and then even got scared about it. Yeah, that puts power towards experiencing that. But if I immediately kind of go, it's okay, this person and I are fine, this conversation's going to go great, like all that stuff is not a big deal, then you change it almost immediately. So I typically, that's what affirmations are used for me, typically, is if I have like a really negative thought, I immediately follow it up with a positive thought. I just instantly take it in the opposite direction. It's like, dude, Dan, what are you saying, man? So yeah, you had a bad thought, yeah, you entertained something, maybe you had a bad dream, whatever. Doesn't mean it's real, doesn't mean it's set in stone. Focus on what it is that you would like to experience. Focus on where you would like to go. Don't worry about where you're at right this second. That is changing for sure. Focus on where you're going. Tomorrow will be a different day. Later on today, who knows what could happen, right? Anything can happen. So Getting stuck on these, I had a bad moment. You're making it worse by focusing on it. No, think about, no, that's all right. These things are working perfectly in my life. I'm manifesting health, wealth, happiness. All this wonderful stuff's coming to me. It's an abundant universe that's full of wonder and amazement. And you walk around with a stupid smile on your face when you're thinking thoughts like that. I promise that much. But when you walk around all bummed at how things aren't going, well, you're kind of frowny face, right? You're frowny puss. It's not good. No one likes that. Kind of a bummer. So hopefully that helps. Kirby695, back to Sharon. Dude, Sharon, you are happening, by the way. People are all over you. I love it. And Papierman, let's see. A person has between 50 and 70,000 thoughts per day. If one tried to control them, he'd go insane. Yeah, you don't control things, but you guide them. And as I've said before, and this is the difference, so I will challenge you on this in this regard. Do you let thoughts lead you, or do you lead your thoughts? That's the difference. If you're having thoughts and you're entertaining them, you're having mind chatter and you're entertaining it because you're conscious of it, don't act like this isn't your TV show to change. Yeah, you may have 70,000 thoughts a day, but if 20,000 of them are bad and you're entertaining those thoughts and not trying to think of something else, you're guilty. You're guilty. So I'm not saying control your thoughts. What I am saying is focus your thoughts. And if you don't think you can focus your thoughts, the thing I frequently like to talk about, let's talk about a cookie, chocolate chip cookie. Kind of got that round sort of color. It's a little darker on the bottom, the brownish, because of the way the pan was, right? And then it's got a neat golden brown. You can almost see steam coming off it as you pull it out of the oven. You can smell that delicious cookie and sugar and all that chocolate and just that wonderful smell. No, you just thought of a cookie. Don't tell me you can't change your thoughts. It's easy. I led your thoughts in that case, but now you're thinking about a cookie. So it's up to you. It's up to you. But I agree, but I disagree, respectfully. All right. Oh, someone's talking maybe bad. I like it. Let's see. Someone is... I want to see what you said. Your peeps are helping me out. Oh, that's awesome. Why did they want to hide that? That's so weird. Okay, question 3 from Christina. Yeah, okay. Can I manifest understanding what direction is best for myself to be able to manifest? How do I start that? So right in the question, I see sort of a deeper question that many of us have that I think is problematic. There's this thought that what we're manifesting needs to be based off of what is right for us. Is this okay to have? Is it okay to desire more money? Is it okay that I have more money? Is it okay that I have this relationship? And I'll try to qualify this in both directions, but there's this concept of, is this okay? And really what it comes down to, and as you really start to evolve down the spiritual path, what you will find is that it's your choice. What do you want? There's not a right or wrong. There's not. There is what you create. What do you desire? This is our playground. You're in your own sandbox with your own toys, and you're asking yourself, which toy should I use? Which type of castle should I make? Should I use the rake to rake a foundation? Should I get the bucket and get some wet sand in there? Should I get the shovel so I can start to dig a hole? What's the right tool? But the question really is what do I want to do in the sandbox? Do I want to build a sandcastle? Do I want to build a tunnel? Do I want to build a hole? What do I want to do? Once I decide what I want to do, then it makes sense which tools to use, which thing to have. A lot of us have a hard time just accepting the fact that it's our decision. It's our choice. We use law of attraction to create things in our life. What do you want to create? It's not, is it okay? It's your creation. The judgment is yours. You alone will judge what you create as acceptable, unacceptable, good, bad, anything in between. So I think that's the core of the question. What do we want to have? Once you decide that, then everything else starts to open from that avenue. If you're asking to have something that could harm others, yeah, you're getting into a place where you're now asking for something that's probably not okay, and it will be reflected back on you, like I was talking about earlier with the Goddard stuff. right? If you're pushing that back onto other people, you can actually find, problems, right? Because they're going to reflect it back on you. But if you're asking for something that's beneficial to them and you or whatever, it tends to be much more happily accepted by the universe and by all people's higher selves. I am. Do you have an answer for my query? I don't know if I saw your query. I'll scroll up a little bit and see if I find it. If not, there you are. Sir, I have heard manifestation teachers saying that you can manifest $1 million near your couch. Is it possible if I believe it can happen? Well, I first off don't particularly care what other teachers say. I don't ever try to follow what other teachers say. I've been studying this a long time, and I even don't like to call myself a teacher, frankly. But yeah, that being said, can I manifest $1 million just to fall into my house? Kinda. I don't know. Like, depends how you go about it. Like, if I want to manifest, like, I could theoretically find a lotto ticket next to my couch, and that lotto ticket could be worth $1 million. Is someone going to break into my house, leave a bag of $1 million, and then leave because I manifested that? That's extremely unlikely, and I would assume most of us would have a really hard time with the belief component of that. But I guess if you believed it strong enough, theoretically, that should be possible. Would I recommend that if I was coaching someone? No. I would recommend opening up your idea to the $1 million coming to you in any number of ways. I've frequently talked about how if you're very specific on how it has to come to you, you create problems for yourself. You eliminate opportunities and options that were once on the table, but now you're saying it has to happen this way. Well, it could complicate that. So it could slow it down. It could make it impossible because of beliefs. But yeah, that's kind of where I see, it's where I see an issue with your question in general is, it's kind of, I think, slightly flawed. And I know you're coming at it from I'm trying to prove, stuff wrong or trying to prove that Dan's crazy, which I am. I don't want you to think I'm not crazy. I'm super crazy. But your question, I think, is kind of a meh. And, let me ask the crazy question back to you. If a tree falls in the woods and there's no one around to hear it, does it make a noise? I know you're going to say yes, but I think no. Anywho, label Mel Infinity. I think the missing link in manifesting a perfect relationship is what we have to offer. Ah, brilliance. It's a partnership, and we have to be in a place to be what the other is looking for too. Amen. You are on the money. That's why we always talk about self-love, making sure you've got it going on inside yourself, that everything's happening in that regard, and you're bringing your A game to the plate, then yeah, you deserve the best and the greatest. I was talking about people going after successful people, but then being jealous of the fact that they get a lot of attention. So then they try to manifest that to change. But now you're asking someone that's spent a great deal of effort to become famous, you're asking them to give that up so they can be with you. That's kind of weird, right? That's not okay. Now you're asking someone to give up something that's important to them because you don't like it. So yeah, are we bringing our A game? Are we bringing our ability to enjoy the fact that I'm with someone that a lot of people want to be with? It's a different concept, different way to look at it. Very, very good. Jillian, you too. I've got goosebumps. I love it. I love goosebumps. By the way, that's usually a very good indication that your soul has just had an aha moment, I've typically found. Goosebumps are great. Pay attention when you get goosebumps. Fantastic. Love Living Peach. What do you think of the analogy that no one has a personality or everyone is just a reflection of you, or the idea that no one has free will in opposition to ours? We can have any specific person. I believe we are all individual souls experiencing ourselves. I know Goddard says a lot of things, but even in what I read earlier, it still talks about how if someone's not willing to accept what I am asking of them, then it's reflected back onto myself. So that I agree with completely. I agree with that in every sense of the word. So to your question, do you think that no one has a personality? I think we all have individuated personalities. It's part of our soul. It's part of our character, supposedly part of us. Now, do we dissolve back into the one or the all that is, or the light, or back into the, seventh dimension, whatever? Yeah, sure. When we go, where's that personality after? Does it stay? Yeah, there's some deeper questions you can go with. Do we have personalities as individualized beings? Absolutely. Just talk to anybody, and you'll notice that their personality can be very different than yours, even though supposedly, you're activating stuff in each other. But, Joe Rogan, maybe someone I like to watch. He's a great comedian. Got a pretty successful channel, talks about a lot of really cool things, right? Got like 6 million subscribers, good Lord. I appreciate him, one, because I've done comedy and I like to be funny and all that. But his comedy is not because of me. His ability to be funny is not because of me. It's because of him, right? He's got a unique personality that's different than mine. I appreciate it, but it's not my personality. So I think they're very different. And then what else you got? Or everyone is just a reflection of you. I think that's projection. So I think that exists. I think a lot of times we push out aspects of ourselves and then we see things in people that is because of us. Doesn't mean they are that. Doesn't mean that they're a negative, bad person because I'm seeing some negative, bad behavior. It's because that's me pushed onto them. And I think we can influence how people behave to us based off of the feelings we hold about them. Like if you've ever just hated somebody and then wondered why they're never nice to you, well, yeah, because you've got a horrible energy towards them. There's nothing about you that would be attractive to them. Or conversely, you can just really, really appreciate and enjoy somebody. And generally speaking, you guys will get along really well because of your feelings about them. So again, you're not, I think, in control of them. And I don't believe that at all. I don't believe it's just one being walking around, even though they say we're all from Source. And Source would be the one being, but it's individuated pieces of Source experiencing themselves independent from each other, separated from the all and the one. So it is kind of how we experience ourselves and how we are kind of put into these interesting. It is kind of like the Matrix, but anyway, it's like a really deep question. I love it. I love the question, but I don't think we just magically control everybody else. I really don't. I know some people are probably just like instantly leaving the channel, but I don't believe that's the case. My SP and I had a falling out a couple weeks ago. Now I feel like he views me differently. We haven't been in contact with the exception of him reaching out to me for my birthday. What are your thoughts? And this is to Gloria Exentus. I think you can change anything. The fact that he reached out to you on your birthday is awesome. So right off the bat, I would say, dude, I hope you're seeing that as a plus. Or dudette, I hope you're seeing that as a plus. That's huge. That's awesome. He didn't let that go by. He cares enough to reach out. So not all hope is lost. I would definitely do some things, do a little soul searching, try to maybe not do what it is that maybe caused this or what helped cause this to come to fruition, what maybe fear you were focused on that caused this, or some jealousy. I don't even know what the thing is, but I would try to resolve that, learn from that, grow from that, become more of a person, better, happier, all that kind of fun stuff, change internally, and you'll notice he will change right along with you. To me, it sounds like he still cares about you. Otherwise, he would have dogged you on your birthday. If he wanted to hurt you, or if he didn't want to come across as someone that still cares, trust me, that wouldn't have happened. He would have, I forgot, and he'd hit you up the following day or something. So, no, I think that's good stuff. Charles Yall. I don't even know how to pretend to say that. Lyle? Oh, Lyle. That's probably better. Is it possible that if you are thinking about a specific person a lot, they are thinking of you in a similar way? Yeah, it's very possible. That happens often. Like I said, with thought transmissions, when you talk to them, when you connect with them, when you think of them, you create a thought bridge. And so then any thoughts you have and feelings you have definitely get reflected to them. And if it's someone that kind of enjoys that same sort of feeling with you, or someone that you're kind of cool with, a lot of times you'll get that back. And that's how you can start to resonate. I don't know if for those of you that have maybe studied frequencies and whatnot, but look into resonance. It's a very neat thing, but it happens with us energetically when we connect with someone that's a similar energy. You resonate with each other, and resonance is very powerful. Resonance can actually cause bridges to break. It can cause things to happen because there's a great Tacoma Narrows video, if you guys want to look it up. Tacoma Narrows, it's a bridge in Washington, and the wind got so perfect, and the way the bridge was shaped, it actually started to undulate, and it broke apart and what happens, it hit resonance. It was just the perfect thing. You ever been in a car and you're going down the road, it just starts to bump perfectly, and it just starts to get worse and worse and worse? The way you stop that is you slow up or speed down, but your car's in resonance. That's all that is. So resonance is beautiful. So when you're resonating with another individual, it feels like magic. Very, very cool. All right. Hi. All right. We're going to have to call this here quick, guys. Let's go a couple more minutes. It's 9:49. At least my, jeez, I've been doing this almost 2 hours. Holy crap. No wonder I feel tired. What in God's green earth is SP? I think specific person, significant person, someone special, or wait, that'd be SS. Usually significant person is my understanding of it, but SP is usually someone in particular, someone specific, someone that you like, and it's like, you know, their name's Brian Goldberg, right? And that's their name, and you like them. They're your SP. That's kind of what that means. Ray Ra. Letting go is always thought to be the reason to manifestation comes to fruition, but why did that not work when I stopped working on manifesting someone? A lot of reasons I can go into that. Again, just because you did something doesn't necessarily mean it was accepted by the other. So I don't know, Ray Rom, there might be a lot going on with you. Maybe there's some internal stuff happening. Maybe they're not willing to accept your offer. I mean, it's possible. Again, Goddard says that. I know everyone says, it's just you pushed out. Well, I don't know. Goddard frequently says stuff that doesn't quite jibe with that, even though a lot of people, I think, just try to broad brush Goddard into saying, it's just everyone's you pushed out. Well, here he kind of talks about how if you're asking of someone something that's not natural to them, or something that's not accepting of them, or something that's not good for them, it will be reflected back into you. So maybe that's part of the problem. I'm not 100% sure how you've been asking for this, but that could be something I would look into, and I would personally ask a lot of questions if I was coaching you, right? I would be asking a lot of questions in regards to that, like what's going on? What were you trying to manifest? What are your thoughts? What's the story? And just try to understand where you're at with the whole situation. And then from there, it's usually a lot easier to figure out why there's blockages, why there's problems, or maybe why some self-love might be in need, or maybe some forgiveness and reversibility, or Ho'oponopono, or whatever. Astral letters, as I like to use. So yeah, all that good stuff. Shy Trisha, you are very, very welcome. It's comforting. That's sweet of you. Thank you. As I talk even lower, right? Anyone says something about the voice, anyone that's in radio, they're like, what do you mean? My voice? Anyway, that's just how, it's just funny. Anyway, I am. Thank you. You're awesome. But I was not trying to prove anything wrong. No, I didn't mean it in a bad way either, man. I'm sorry. No, it's cool. And that's very, very cool. And I'm sorry. I didn't mean it to sound like that, but your question was kind of loaded. You got to admit that, right? It was sort of a loaded question to a degree. But yeah, no, you're awesome. I am. That's fantastic. And I love the question. That was why I spent so much time on it. I think it's fantastic. I love all the comments you guys are doing. Looking Astral letters are for, if you look up literally, and you spelled it perfectly, if you search that on my channel, you'll find the video. It's like Heal Yourself in Another with Astral letters, something like that. But just type Astral letters and you'll find it. I think there's literally 2 videos I've done, but one of them is Heal Yourself in Another, something along those lines. It really breaks into the Astral letters. The other one's like from forever ago. I see a lot of signs, including numbers. I am really into numbers. Let's see if I can do this. How can I do this without screwing stuff up? I'm going to try to see if it'll let me share a link. If for those of you that like numbers, and I'm not affiliated with this channel. I think it's some lady in England, and this channel, I've been using this channel for years, and it doesn't seem like it's really being updated. It's Joanne Angel Number. Joanne Walmsley is it? The Sacred Numbers is her whole thing. Sacred Scripts. Anyway, I don't know. It's a very cool thing for numbers and patterns in numbers, and if you want to see what they mean. So for anybody that's interested in finding the vibration of numbers, and her whole site, she gets into angel numbers, and there's a few other really cool things that she's got going on. Again, not affiliated with this person. If you've got a site that you like better, go for it. It's really awesome. I'm just telling you, this is the one I use still and have been using for 10 years now, maybe? Quite a long time. This is a great site for anything numbers. So hopefully you guys dig that. Why is it retracted? People are pulling. Esoteric fitness. Are you gonna stick it? Are you gonna let these things happen or what? Or are you just mad at us? Okay, let's see. Betty Goncalves. Just want to say hi. Hi, Betty. Think you're doing a great job. Oh, that's sweet of you. Thank you. Thanks a bunch. You're the bestest in the whole wide world. All right, I still want to see what esoteric fitness is trying to say. You keep retracting statements, so I really want to see you put something out there. RB Mariel, how do you deal with unwanted thoughts that are popping up? Astral letters, like I said. And typically, by the way, I mean, the other thing, and I've talked about this a bunch, is when there's unwanted thoughts popping up frequently, I personally like to understand why. I feel like affirmations are a Band-Aid if it keeps happening, right? If I keep having negative thoughts, keep do an affirmation, I do an affirmation, and then the next day, negative thoughts, affirmation, next day, negative thoughts, affirmation, right? If I'm in a pattern, I instantly go, holding, right? Stop, right? Learn from what's going on. If there's a pattern, look at what's going on inside of you. What's causing the doubt? Why are you doubting? Why do you keep doubting? You don't believe it's possible? Is there a forgiveness issue at work? Do you not have enough self-love? Like you don't believe you're worthy of this? Is it something that seems unnatural to you? It's impossible. It's too hard to get. Like, there's a lot of things I begin to question. And then we need to really tackle the root of the problem. Because if you keep slapping a Band-Aid on a wound and it's not being treated, that wound just gets nasty underneath, right? You can keep putting Band-Aids on it. It looks great on the outside. You don't see the festering wound under the Band-Aid, but there's a festering wound. So affirmations I use as a go-to. If it continues, I look into it. That's when I suddenly become a doctor of spirituality, and I'm like digging into what's bugging Dan or what's causing Dan problems. So that would be the recommendation, or at least how I would come at it. Let's see. I am synchronicity. Yes, you are. Damn spelling. Where else? Oh, man, you took those out. All right. Mitsuri Rosales. Yeah, we're going to go 5 more minutes, guys. I'm going to take it up to 10 o'clock, or at least the top of the hour. And for those of you in India, the half to the bottom of the hour, because I know you guys are like a weird time zone. Yeah, 4 more minutes, and I got to go, man. It's 2 hours. It's a long time of being live. That one guy right off the bat, too, one guy was complaining about me he wants me to do shorter videos, which is nice. I like what you have to say, Dan. You just say too much of it. I appreciate that. That is a problem I have, for sure. But it's 2 hours. It's far from short. In fact, this is the longest video I've done yet, which is cool. All right, so talk to text was messed up. Oh, gotcha. Oh, yeah. Oh, you got to love that. Talk to text. I can't do it because it doesn't. I spend more time trying to fix the damn thing afterwards than it benefiting me in any way, shape, or form. I absolutely hate it. So Mitsuri results, okay, she's talking to someone. Hey, Dan, from Robbie529, what's talking? Hey, Dan, I have a question about Astral letters. Do you use them only when there is an anger, friction between you and another, or can they be used to communicate in any situation? Yeah, they work, all the above. I have found that they are just a really great way to kind of cleanse our soul and theirs. If you feel that some sort of apology is needed from another, I found that Astral letters are a great way to take away the need for them ever to apologize. They don't need to. In fact, I've accepted that they didn't mean to hurt me, and that's part of the Astral letter concept, and I clear that through the very process of doing the Astral letter. I forgive myself for any wrongs and things that I have done, and I forgive them for anything they've done. And by doing that, I don't need them to say anything, because ultimately, forgiving others benefits us. Someone for saying, I'm sorry, it does not benefit you. It doesn't, and in a lot of cases, it doesn't mean anything to many people. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, but you're going to do it again anyway, right? Like, how many of us have said that? Someone does something to us over and over and over. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're not. No, you're not. I'm sorry doesn't mean a whole lot. When someone changes their behaviors, that matters, right? So just hearing I'm sorry doesn't, and I think it's a great way to just kind of cleanse your palate, if you will, when it comes to blame and confusion and just things along those lines. It is a very, very awesome way to basically write a very cool letter to someone's soul. That's kind of what it is. Dan, you were a good guy, and I appreciate your videos. Hey, I thank you. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm making you an Italian, because I'm pretty sure you're not. I've been in a transition phase of my life, and your channel is, dude, thank you, man. That's just awesome. I really, honestly, as much as I don't want people to think I have to hear good comments in order to, live my life, because there's some people that leave some contrary ones as well. But I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And I really what matters to me, and it really just gives me the biggest thrill, is it seems like I'm affecting people's lives and helping. And that just warms my soul. So I feel like I've kind of found like one of my life purposes, if that matters or means anything. And so you guys without you, I'm nothing, right? It was like what I was for the first 2 years of my channel, where there's like not even 100 people that would like if a video got 40 views, I was like, wow, I got 40 views. So again, we all start somewhere and we're all heading someplace. But we're all in varying stages of that. So don't judge yourself by where you're at. Don't judge yourself at all, really. Just continue trying to head in the direction you're going and, forgive yourself when you screw up, dust yourself up when you've fallen down, and, just keep doing the best you can do. It's all you can hope for. Christina, Neville in one book states that we should not be picky about manifesting a possible marriage partner, but he can be picky about ties and homes, yet he was picky about his second wife. It's confusing. Now, by the way, you bring up a great point, and I'm not going to try to justify Neville. That's one of the things that I think is very funny about how a lot of people consider Neville to be somewhat of a god. And I don't mean that as badly as it sounds, but Neville went through a lot of things in his life, went through a lot of transitions in his life. The person that he manifested that was married, she didn't want to be married. Don't make it sound like she was happily married and Neville's like using his mind powers to break that up. That's not how it played out. Neville and her were probably, I don't want to put words in, they were probably at least flirting on the side. There was a interest between them, and they were able to manifest divorces on both sides so these two could come together. I've seen that happen a lot. That's not uncommon, but that is not like I manifested a divorce for her. That's not how that played out. And that's really where I think it's unfortunate that a lot of this stuff is taken out of context. I should not be picky about manifesting possible marriage partner. I mean, I don't know. It depends how you're coming at it. If you don't have a specific person, then that's where I recommend scripting. Like, what are like the top 20 things? I mean, really, because 10's not really enough. What are the like top 20 things of an individual that would make them a great marriage partner for you? Write them down. Work on that. Make that a list that you revisit every so often. And you will find that you will attract that type of person to yourself. And if you're not overly worried about any one thing, then you kind of leave that vague. But maybe, I like dark hair. All right, well, they should have dark hair. That's when I imagine them. I see long, darker hair because that's beautiful, right? And that's something I like. So it's one of those things, right? So I'm not imagining blondes, even though I think blondes are beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Redheads are beautiful. Like, all women are beautiful. Love them all. I just really love dark hair. I don't know what to tell you. So that being said, I have embarrassed myself enough. And it's 10:01. I went past the time. I want to thank all of you guys. This is amazing. Not that I need to say this because I've already visually or verbally said it, but thank all of you. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. A lot of you guys stuck around for a while. I'm surprised. I think I had 150 some people on at one time, which is, for me, is pretty good. This is the biggest numbers I've had on a live. I'm going to try to do this on Saturdays. And the Q&A part's kind of as long as people seem to be engaged and a part of this. So it kind of works. And you guys stayed engaged for a long time because I stopped talking about what I did my video on about an hour and 40 minutes ago. So you guys are the best. I love each and every one of you. And we'll be talking soon. And I've got another Goddard video that I will be putting out on Monday. So you can hopefully look forward to that. And it should be pretty exciting. So, yeah, a lot of great things coming. Thank you all. It's Dan Radio Style.